So, have you ever found yourself wondering, is university actually preparing me for the job market? Or maybe you're an AI major like me, sending out job applications and feeling a little disconnected between what you've studied and what companies are actually asking for? Well, if that sounds like you, then you might want to continue listening to this podcast because today I'm sharing my honest experience about navigating the world of AI job hunting and what I actually wish people told me about it, earlier. If I knew, I would want to do some things differently. So let's talk about that. Okay, as mentioned, let's talk about what you study versus what they want. Okay, so this is the obvious one, the difference between what you study in class and what the job descriptions actually expect from you. So in university, we learn a lot of fundamentals. I mean, the important stuff. You learn about algebra, probability, basic machine learning models, and a bit of Python here and there, or in several projects, of course. But once you step into the job market, you realize that no, they actually want you to know entire frameworks, a lot of different tools, cloud platforms, and even to deploy with the pipelines and ask you all these technical questions, expecting you to be able to answer them perfectly. Right. So, what is this gap and how should you deal with that, right? So, nobody tells you what to expect when you go out there because no one knows which jobs you're going to be applying to. You should take responsibility to learn about those jobs even before you graduate. Why? Because you know if your major is the right major towards those jobs, but also to give yourself the chance to take some time and learn about these things that they're expecting from you. Some jobs, which should be junior or like entry level job posts, these ones sometimes offer training. So they wouldn't expect you to know all these things before you join them. So they'll give you training, they'll give you time to learn, and then you can join. But if you're going to apply to like a job that is, let's say, requiring 1 year of experience, let's say you did like one, two, three internships, and now you feel like you're ready and you can apply to like full-time job, these ones, they'll expect you to know about the things that they use in their own like workflows. So they will expect you to know their tools, they'll expect you to know their frameworks they're using, and perhaps even different languages, not just Python, right? But the truth is, like, I remember looking into, let's say, a junior AI/ML engineer post, like a job post, right? The requirements, I'm looking through them, I'm like, am I supposed to know all these things already? Because for me, it sounds like these things are what I need to know as I'm working. Because like at university, we're not going to be taught about every single tool that every single company uses, right? We just understand the main concept. We just understand what AI is and why we use AI. So when we come to the company, if let's say they don't have an AI engineer, which was the case for me, I would probably be the first AI engineer since it's a bit new, at least the last few years. And then I would have all this knowledge about AI and somehow how to apply it, but I wouldn't know how to apply it in their own use case, which again, this is the gap between what you study and the work. And thankfully, they were understanding, and I had a senior help me out. So the senior taught me through their work process. They taught me what they're trying to do, and I came in with recommendations. So I told them, okay, so I know and I understand this is how AI works, and this is how AI can be used to do the things that you're trying to do, but I don't know how to do it. So we work together, okay? We work together by doing some research And we even contacted Microsoft because we were using their tools to do the thing that we're trying to do, right? We're trying to train models, we're trying to fine tune models actually, and which was something I knew how to do, but like I had to use their data and we had to prepare their data, not something like we did at university. At university, sometimes we use data that is already formatted perfectly for the model training, or we had to prepare like a small data set if we're having to do them on our own. The point being, it's not the same. The expectations that we'll have comparing like the projects that we do at university versus the projects that we do at work are very different. And the biggest difference is that one has real consequences, not like at university. The only consequences are your grades, but here, like, different results of your model can make a lot of difference. Let me give you a simple example. One of the models that I worked on was to generate personalized emails for people, right? And we send them out. So if that personalized email was not generated correctly, we will not be able to get responses from people. So these are real consequences. And if these people responded, it's gonna make a difference to the company. So that just applies to the pressure, of course. We should also understand that we can't expect the performance to be 100% all the time. Okay, that is a different topic. Let's move on to the next part. Okay, next, I want to talk about the real expectations in the job market. So, these are things I've learned through a lot of different interviews that I've done, right? And through reading through job descriptions. Okay, so let's talk about that. One thing I didn't expect was how much companies expect you to be job ready before you even step through their door. You might think company will train you, and some do, as I mentioned earlier, but a lot are looking for people who are already fit and can deliver from week one, if not day one. Yeah, because the last technical interview I had, right? So, of course, technical interview is after you do the first initial interview. So that means that, okay, they see you as a good fit, but now they want to test if you can actually follow along or pick up from the projects that they're currently working on. Meaning, once you start working with them, they're expecting you to be able to continue their work or continue working with them in that project that they're working on right now. What does that mean? That means that you need to be familiar with the tools they're using. You need to be familiar with the concepts that they're using and not need the time to actually learn them first. These are for the full-time jobs, of course. Yeah. And it's not about being perfect, it's about showing that you can learn quick and adapt. That is what I think. And so, in this last technical interview I had, right, I did confront him actually after the interview was done, and I realized I wasn't able to answer all his questions because I wasn't familiar with the things that they're working with. They were working with different frameworks, and I was aware of the concepts, but I didn't try them before. I didn't use them before because I wouldn't normally just go and randomly learn things and familiarize myself. I'm not saying it's a wrong thing, I'm just saying this is not the usual for me. Therefore, it's not easy to do these things that they're expecting us to do. So, some people actually do that where they go around, learn the new things, learn about different frameworks, learn about the different tools, which is really good, which is really good. But what I'm saying is, this is not the usual, not for me and not for some people. And so when we are interviewed, we get shocked like, oh, so it's not that I'm gonna come to your company and bring my own knowledge and skills and, bring something new to the table. No, it's more about I should come with the understanding and knowledge that you expect from your candidates, which is in the job description, which is why when you submit a CV, that is matching what they're looking for is the only reason why they actually pay attention to you, is because, oh, so this person actually has these specific things we're looking for. Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, even in the interview and even when you join them, they will expect you to actually know and have these things. It's a simple concept, it's very clear, but it's not what we expected when we graduated, right? Okay. So when I confronted this interviewer, I told him, right, look, I had a previous interview where the interviewer was like, you know what, your generation relies too much on AI and Googling stuff that you don't always know the right thing to do at the right time. And the reason why that person told me that was because they gave me a technical task with a language that I haven't worked with before. They gave me a few days to learn the language, to do the task, and deliver it. And I was able to do that. I did deliver the task and I did it all. But in the interview, the technical interview, when I was reviewing the code and explaining what I did, he told me to do a change, right? So again, I wasn't familiar with this language, meaning I needed time to do a bit of research and then do the change, right? It took me 10 minutes to figure out how to do this change. Yeah, again, with no prior knowledge. And so he gave me that response. He was like, you rely too much on not knowing the syntax in your head. And so that made me a bit upset because it wasn't fair, right? It wasn't fair that he said that because of course we rely on googling stuff because how can we know everything? We're not, this is the old generation thinking where they are expecting to have everything inside their mind already. But now with the times changing, now that we rely more on technology, it's different now. It's very different now, and we need to take time to adapt. I think our actual skill is not to know the knowledge or not to have the knowledge prior, but it's actually our ability to quickly learn and adapt to different situations, which is a good skill for this quickly evolving world we're living in. Yeah. So again, it's not about being perfect, it's about showing that you can learn and adapt and bring in new ideas, fresh ideas. And because like we're recent graduates, right? Or we're like people with a few months or years of experience, we're still fresh, we still have energy, and we still have new ideas to share. And I think that should be more important than being able to spell out the syntax of a code. I don't know. I just think it's a bit outdated idea. This is part of the experiences I've had to deal with, and if you'd like to hear more, let me know. And make sure to support the channel and share this video with people who are going through a similar experience, and just a nice reminder that you're not alone struggling with this. I think people our generation are going through a hard time dealing with job hunting and figuring out what they actually want to do because not everyone has someone to hold their hand and guide them or someone to even ask, because people are doing different things, of course. So if you don't have someone who is doing something similar, it's hard to figure out what is the right thing to do, what is the right path. Because let's say for me, example, I could have chosen to, let's say, do my master's, but I chose to go with the path to, start working right after graduation. Um, the reason I thought that because I felt like our major is more about experience than knowledge. Because even if I learned more things, I'll still come back to the work, job market and see that, oh, things are different now, things are changing. I need experience to actually step foot into my work life. And so I prioritized having experience over having knowledge. Perhaps later on, when it's more stable, like you feel like, oh, I already started my work or career life, you can perhaps experience or explore the option of having more knowledge. Or maybe after you work, then you realize you're more passionate about a certain topic or a certain area where you want to do your master's in. And of course, there's also the option to just start your own project, do your own thing, maybe find like-minded people to work with and start your own startup. Perhaps that is also a different path. And so it's not easy to figure out which one to go with and allow yourself to explore without fear of failure or fear of missing out on the other path or something like that. Well, anyways, these podcasts aim to at least provide a bit of insight here and there, provoke some ideas, and hopefully, through listening to different opinions and experiences, it'll help you figure out what you want to do. Once again, thank you so much for listening, and see you on the next one.